We will return to Senator Hawkins. Are there any federal departments that you would support consolidating or eliminating?
I think of two right off pretty quickly. One is the Department of Education. This department was formed to improve education in this country, and we've seen actually a move in the wrong direction. Education needs to be local, and more local than even state. I passed some legislation this year that called on the Education Department of Education to reduce the continuing education hours for our teachers locally. We as a state have moved to 100 hours of continuing education when they only actually were required to have 50. I think also we could eliminate the Department of Energy. This department was created to help reduce our dependency on foreign oil. They've not succeeded, and I think that that's a matter that Congress can address without that department. There are other departments that we can shave down, just like we did at the state. We cut the budget by $4 billion, $21 billion budget, by removing non-essential programs from departments, and we need to do the same thing with federal government.
As a co-sponsor of the fair tax, the first department, I'd say, let's get rid of the Department of Revenue. You know, the IRS, Internal Revenue Services, needs to go. And so I'd like to see the fair tax implemented, which gets rid of the Internal Revenue Service. And then, this isn't a department, but there's certainly a problem. It's time to fire some czars. You know, we have 15 million Americans out of work right now. It's time to put some czars on the unemployment line and get some Americans off the unemployment line. Then the other would be the Environmental Protection Agency. And we have EPD here in the state of Georgia. Why does every state have an environmental department, and as well we have a federal environmental department? So I'm a proponent of doing away with the EPA and allowing the states, getting back to states' rights again, allow the states to govern their policies on the local level.
Well, as a state senator, I voted for the fair tax, and I believe strongly in the fair tax. I would like nothing better than to nail the going out of business sign on the door of the IRS. If we can eliminate the IRS, we can eliminate corporate tax, capital gains tax. That puts us once again in competition across the ocean. You know, we had a Democratic Congress and President pass NAFTA, and the idea of NAFTA was for competition, but it's turned around the other way. We've given the advantage to the foreign countries rather than to ourselves. So we've got a lot of things that we can work on, a lot of common sense things that we can overcome to get business back on its feet, because that's where jobs come from, small business.
The illustration I showed the other night when I stood for an hour on the House floor and went through positive solutions to show that, you know what, Republicans are the ones with the ideas. Not only do we stand opposed to what's wrong, but we also have the right ideas. I had a chart that demonstrated what the Obamacare legislation looked like if you took a schematic and you put it all out there. I mean, it really looked like a plate of spaghetti more than anything. And in between all, you had what you hoped was the patient on there somewhere. They were down in the bottom corner. You had the doctor, bottom corner. But the entire chart was filled of each and every agency that was involved in the process of administering this free health care for everyone, which we all know is not free health care. I believe that is vitally important to defund Obamacare and to push forward with repealing it next, and then let's replace it with free market competition in the healthcare industry.